Hey guys, so today I wanted to go through my TBR Tower of Classics, which are a lot. And there's something that I wanted to mention about TBRs in general. I feel like the reason that we like to accumulate so many books is because we all dream about having that grand library we can look at and we can show off when people come to our houses that have a beautiful, grand, two-story library with dark cherry wood floors and floor-to-ceiling shelves and spotlights over the bookshelves and leather furniture and a nice dark green carpet that complements the brass and the steel and the other industrial elements of our... Or maybe that's just me. But along with the TBR that we get caught up with because of BookTube, we all, I feel, have a TBR of classics, which are books that we know we're going to read, books that we definitely want to show off when people come over, books that we want to be proud of, books that we want to read to increase our level of culture, and things we want to tackle just because they seem interesting, and well, they're classics. We all want to read the classics for different reasons, and I'm sure I've only named off a few. Some of us just truly love timeless pieces, and I think that we put them on our TBR because we might feel a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of them, overwhelmed by the amount of time it might take to read them, or maybe we just feel intimidated. But it's okay. I'm telling you, it's okay. Every time I go through my TBR of classics, I end up picking out a book that becomes one of my favorites of all time, surprising everyone and myself, because I'm normally a bit of a YA reader, a little bit of science fiction, but my favorite books are like classics and historical fiction and things that sound boring, but they're totally not. So I wanted to just go through my TBR bookshelf because I know I'm going to be putting up some pretty smooth reviews later on. So let's go. The first book on my list is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. And I wanted to read this because it is about a boy who, well, that's my battery letting me know I have low battery, so I'm going to have to talk extra fast. It's about a guy who sells his soul in order to have eternal youth and beauty, and then he ends up becoming a bit of a jerk, which I'm sure anyone who's that shallow would become. So I wanted to read this just because I wanted to read about how freakishly weird this guy was. And I know that that's going to be pretty cool. The next one is The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, which is just a classic that speaks for himself, and it happens to be a historical novel about the 1930s, so I really can't wait to get into this. But it is one of the books that I fear the most for being extremely challenging, so I am a little bit scared of it. So when you see me come up with a book review of this book, best believe I'm proud. The next book that I have is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, or Bronte, and I am a little bit afraid of this book as well, but I guess I shouldn't be because I see a lot of reviews out there. People are tackling this pretty well. I do love books about strong women, so I know that I'm going to actually really like this one no matter how difficult it may be. The next is The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James, which is about a woman who is American with youth and beauty and intelligence and wit who moves to England and then becomes quickly disillusioned by all the problems that she faces there. I just love stories about women who can conquer all, and I'm really hoping that this has a happy ending because I don't like when endings give me a bunch of disappointment. Insurgent, Maze Runner, The Princess Bride. I feel like everyone knows The Secret Garden. It's by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And I did watch the movie when I was a kid, and I absolutely loved it. I just thought there was something that felt so surreal about a secret garden, and about a story. I just think anyone will love a story about a child locked up in a mansion discovering secrets, because at the end of the day, we know that just spells awesome. Next, we have Redwall, which is by Brian Jacques. That's a French name. I think I got that right. And it's about this little warrior mouse, and I think it's so adorable. It's pretty much a classic that I've been wanting to read for a long time. I have the 10th anniversary edition right here, and it's just been sitting on my TBR looking at me like, read me, I'm cute. And that's what I think literally every time I see this book. I think we all know what The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain is about. I read Huckleberry Finn. I read Huckleberry Finn and I really, really liked it, so I can't wait to dive into this because It's just gonna be, I know it might be pretty much of the same kind of style, but that's actually what I'm really excited about, because every time I read Huckleberry Finn, I could hear their voices so well. I loved the way it was written. And if I loved Huckleberry, then I'm definitely going to love Mark Twain, because that's his best friend, and I'm sure they were two peas in a pod. I might have read this in high school, but it's one that I don't remember, so I can't wait to reread it again. Gulliver's Travels, I can't talk today, by Jonathan Swift. This is a classic, and it can be read by two points of view. Children love it as an adventure story about these people who get on a ship and then arrive at a magical land that is very strange, and adults see it as sort of like a satire, and they take their own view on it, you know, kind of like Adventure Time, things like Family Guy and whatnot. So I can't wait to read this and see what tone I find it in, and or, you know, if I'm still reading it from an innocent point of view, or if I see the satire behind everything, or if I can enjoy both, because I'm in the YA stage of my life. So I'm really excited about that one. It's like playing Jenga. The next is Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. How do I say that? Hesse. Anyway, so we all know the story of Buddha. This pretty much follows down the same lines. It's a short read, but it's one of those that I feel is really challenging, and so I want to pay a lot of attention to it. It's so tiny, and yet it has so much wisdom, so much stuff. Can't wait. And now we got a little bit more fancy with To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. I have never read a Virginia Woolf novel. I haven't. But I know that I'm going to be in for a big surprise, and I'm really excited about it. It's about a British family back in the day. I'm sure there's a lighthouse involved, though. So then we have that one. Book Jenga! I'm winning. Ooh, here's one that I haven't tackled, because look at the size of this. Just wow! Look at that print! Ah! It's Don Quixote by Miguel Cervantes. And I say Cervantes because I'm Spanish and I can talk like that. Oh yeah. Alright, let me stop. Don Quixote is about an average man with average skills who believes that he is a soldier, a knight, and he goes off into the world looking for adventure and sees adventure in the simplest things. He might seem a little bit ridiculous, but I'm sure by the end of the novel we absolutely love him. How many pages is this? Let's see. Over 1,000. Yeah. Wow. That's going to take me some time. And last but not least is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and The Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. We all know Alice in Wonderland. I definitely want to read the book because I feel that it would be even more fantastic, even more creative, and I love hearing characters' thoughts. I feel like that's something that's always missing from film, and what we might be able to enjoy the action more because we're visualizing scenes that are really interesting while we read them. It's different when you can hear what a character is thinking, and that's what I love about literature. Always, always read the book before you watch the movie, unless it's Star Wars. And that are all of the books that I have not read yet that are classics, and there's a lot of them, and every time I look at them on my TBR, I kind of see which one do I have the mental energy to read right now. That's how I feel. Mental energy, if I'm feeling very scholarly or something, but my challenge to myself has been to read a YA book or read a dystopian, read something interesting, read modern fiction, and then go for a classic, or for every 2 books, go for a classic, or every time I watch a Netflix series and waste so much time, invest so much time watching a show, then I have to pick up a classic book, and that's how I've slowly been going through my classics. And for me, it's a system that works, so definitely find your system for your TBR if you feel that's what you're doing. For every book you buy, you have to read 2, and things like that. And I feel as if we make compromises with ourselves, then it'll be a lot easier to finish our TBR. And if we do something like read a modern book and then read a classic, or for every 2 or 3 modern books we read a classic, then we're going to be able to step out of YA, because as much as I love it, I do believe in reading diversely in terms of the kind of books that we read and the kind of characters that we read about. Otherwise, you know, books become a little bit of who we are, and do we really want to be this one-dimensional person, or do we want to be someone well-read? Hey, I mean, we might as well throw in some goals as we enjoy basic reading. Huh? And that's all for today. Thanks for catching up